Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to your very own BYJU'S 6th, 7th and 8th grade channel. I'm your biology teacher Aishwarya, and in this particular class we are going to be having a complete biology syllabus for class 7, where we will be doing an NCERT question marathon that is going to be super duper important for your examination. So I hope all of you here are excited for today's class. I hope all of you are ready. Please make sure you have your notebooks and pens ready with you, have your NCERT open with you so that you can make a note of all the important pointers as and when I tell you. And very quickly everybody, I hope my audio, my video and my screen and what I'm writing on the screen is visible to all of you. If it is, give me a quick thumbs up, bachas. Hello, Gargi, Akshit, Sanket, good evening. Yes, I'm not able to see the chat because of some other windows. Yes, hello Agna, Sonakshi, Ahmad, Purvi, Carol, I can see Pratham. Yes, good evening everybody. Today there is absolutely no mentee, right? So today is not a mentee class because at the end of the day when you're giving your exams, you know that they will ask you to write the answers, right? So we're not going to do mentee, we'll do mentee later, okay? Don't worry about it. And everyone, please make sure that all of you let me know if my audio, my video and my screen and what I'm writing on the screen is visible to all of you. If it is, give me a quick thumbs up. Priti, if your papers are done, amazing. You can recall all the concepts. Otherwise, it's okay. Like if you want to leave the class also, it's fine. But you can stay here to recall your concepts. Those of you having exam tomorrow, all the very best. And happy birthday to, I'm sorry, I didn't read your name. But happy birthday to you, Kiran. Happy birthday. Yes, please make sure everybody that you hit the like button on this video and mark your attendance and show me your love, right? So if you are present in today's class, you will have to hit the like button for me, right? And of course, very important today. Yes, Manaswini, yes. So as we all know, right, today we are going to be looking at all of these 5 chapters. We look at nutrition in plants, nutrition in animals, respiration, reproduction and transportation as well. So now let's do one thing. Let's keep an aim that at least in 1 hour, right, in the next 1 hour, we are going to finish all of these concepts, right? Now it's not easy to do 5 chapters in 1 hour, but can we aim for that so that we will make the best use of our time? Yes? Yes, Sharika, I will let the team know. We'll try our best. Yes? So are we ready? 1 ghante mein we will finish this off, right? But for 1 ghanta, I need all of you to pay attention to me, right? And I need you to make sure that you're giving me all the answers, right? Not 1 hour, ma'am, but 2 hours. Yes, it's 2 hours, but at the same time, I all know that you all know the answers. So jaldi we will finish it off, right? Yes, very good. Yes, we are ready. So we're going to get started with nutrition in plants, right? So let's have a look at the first question. First question is, why do organisms need food, right? Why do organisms require food? Why should you and I eat food? Can you tell me in the chat? What is the reason that we should eat food? कौन सी class की है ये? ये तो 7th standard के लिए है, right? Yes, to grow, to get energy, for growth, for development, to live. Yes, all correct, right? So we know that organisms that are there, they require food because food consists of nutrients, right? And why do we require nutrients? We require nutrients for growth, to get energy, for development, and basically even if we have to survive, we require energy, right? So what are the points you will write? This can come for 1 mark, this can come for 2 marks also. If it comes for 2 marks, then you'll have to write that food is the fuel that drives our body, right? And we know that it has various nutrients in them that is needed for growth and for providing energy. So if you write this, you will get 2 marks, right? So your keywords are growth, energy and development. Now moving on to the next one. Distinguish between a parasite and a saprotroph, right? This is going to be a 2-mark question. Difference between parasite and saprotroph. Can you tell me the answer? Yes. We know that both parasites and saprotrophs exhibit or they show heterotrophic mode of nutrition, right? So if they show heterotrophic mode of nutrition, we know that they don't prepare their own food, but they are dependent on other organisms for food, right? So we know that they are dependent on other organisms. So in this case, very good, Daivik. They get it from their host, right? While on the other hand, yes, for some of you it might not be there in the exam, but it's okay. Saprotroph eat dead and decaying matter. Amazing. So in saprotrophic nutrition, we know that they are found growing on dead and decaying matter. While in parasitic mode of nutrition, we see that they are found growing on a host organism, right? So they will take nutrients from another organism, okay? So when you're writing the difference, you will have to write the difference in tabular form. So in parasite, they are found growing on a host organism. They will have harmful effects because we know that they'll take the nutrients almost entirely. Example is Cuscuta, right? While on the other hand, when we talk about our parasites, what do? We know that saprotrophs are found growing on dead and decaying matter, right? And they're not harmful, right? Instead, they actually help the environment. And we see that fungi is an example. So everybody, if you write this, you will get 2 marks, right? Yes, Ankita, if you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel, bacha. Welcome to our beautiful family, right? I welcome you. Make sure that you hit the organism. So, hit the like button. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So now for those of you who are asking me what is a host? Host is an organism wherein we see that host is an organism from which another organism will derive nutrition, right? So that is what we mean by this. Now moving on to the third question. Give a brief description on the process of synthesis of food in green plants, right? This is a 3-mark question. It will come in your exams, okay? So what are they asking you? They are asking you to write steps of photosynthesis, right? Very, very important. Now all you 7th graders, let me tell you, learn this now very well because 10th standard mein you will get this again. The sooner you learn this, the better, right? Yes. Formula of starch, you don't need to know. It's a very complex formula. You don't need to know. Ma'am, plants green क्यों होते हैं? Green होते हैं ताकि वो लोग photosynthesis कर सकते थे. To do photosynthesis, right? Very good, very good. So how will you start the whole answer, right? So you have to start by defining what is photosynthesis, right? So photosynthesis can be defined as the process by which green plants will prepare their own food using carbon dioxide and water, right? And we see that this carbon dioxide and water will combine in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, right? And what will they do? They will give us glucose, right? They will produce glucose and give out oxygen as a byproduct. So when you're writing the answer, you need to start out by saying that green plants and maybe certain other organisms prepare their own food by using the process of photosynthesis, right? And in this process, we know carbon dioxide is taken up from the air, right? So we get carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Water and minerals are absorbed from the soil, right? And we know that they are taken to the leaves. Now in the leaves, we know that there are certain green pigments or chlorophyll is present, and in the presence of sunlight, we see that they will combine, giving us glucose and oxygen. And you can write the chemical equation as well to support the answer. So everybody take a quick screenshot. If this comes for 3 marks, you will have to write all of these 3 points. Yes? All of you, please make sure that you do this. For new students who are coming in, welcome to the channel. I welcome all of you. You guys are amazing and good that you are learning from us, right? Okay, once you've taken a screenshot, let me know. Are we done? Okay, very good. Let's quickly move on. We have some MCQ based questions. Very easy. Fatafat, I want the answer on the chat. Okay. Cuscuta is an example of what? Is it autotroph, parasite, saprotroph, or host organism? What is the answer? Yes. We just discussed, right? What is an example? Cuscuta is an example of a parasite, right? Cuscuta is an example of a parasite. Now moving on to the next one. The plant which traps and feeds on insects is called as what? Is it Cuscuta, China rose, pitcher plant, or rose? Yes? So in this case, a plant which traps and feeds on insects. Can you tell me? It traps and feeds on insects. What is it? We are talking about a insect insectivorous plant, right? So we're talking about an insectivorous plant, and in this case, very good. The correct answer is pitcher plant. Moving on. We have a match the following, right? Now I always tell you with match the following, you will have to give me the, I think this is the answer slide. Okay. Alright, so I think the question is not here because there has been some mistake, right? But anyway, I'll write. Anyway, I'll quickly tell you and I'll take you through it. So it should have ideally been rhizobium. And then we have heterotrophs, right? So it should have been heterotrophs. The third one should have been pitcher plant. The fourth one should have been leaf. And the fifth one should have been rhizobium, right? So in this case, when you match it, the answer is only not there. But question is not there, but answer is there. Funnily, but it's okay, right? So in this case, we know that chlorophyll here is matched to leaf, right? Nitrogen here is matched to rhizobium because we know that rhizobium have the ability to, fix the atmospheric nitrogen, right? Then we have Cuscuta, which is an example of a parasite. Then of course here we know that animals are heterotrophs, which are dependent on other organisms for food. Then we know here in this case insects that are there insects are fed off by pitcher plant. So 5 here that is there, sorry, should be parasite. Sorry. Okay. So now of course this is the question column. This is the answer here, right? Okay. Now let's quickly move on to the next one. If your exams are over, it's okay, bachas. Nothing to worry about, right? So with this, of course, everybody see 15 minutes mein we have finished nutrition in plants. Fatafat. We are done with one chapter. That means, see, 15 minutes mein we are doing quick summaries, quick recall. It's going to definitely help you, right? How many of you are feeling ki, ma'am, this is helping me. I'm doing quick summaries. I'm able to recall, right? For me also, this is one record, right? Because I normally love teaching. I love going into details. But I feel like the importance that we all should understand is that we do quick summaries. We quickly jog our memory about it and we will go ahead, right? Okay, amazing. Yes? Shakti, can you tell me what you want to repeat, bacha? I'll repeat that once again, right? Okay, yes, it's helping a lot, ma'am. Yes, of course, it's going to help you quite a lot. Now, let's quickly move on to nutrition in animals. Okay, now nutrition in animals, mein first one is a fill in the blanks and this will be here for 5 marks. Yes? 5 mark question. Question number 1. The main steps of nutrition are dash, dash, dash and dash. Yes? Nutrition के 5 step क्या होते हैं? Everybody has given me the first one. It is ingestion. Then what is it? After ingestion. Very good. It is digestion. Then what is there after that? Ingestion, digestion. Very good, Chimiyami. It is absorption. Everybody, please keep a note on the spellings of absorption and digestion, okay? Absorption, assimilation mein you may make mistakes, so be careful of spellings. Then you have assimilation. I'm only thinking about what is the spelling, but yeah. Assimilation. And last, but not the least, yes, it is ingestion, right? Now, option number B. The largest gland in the human body is what? Which is the largest gland in the human body? Can you all tell me quickly in the chat? What is the largest organ in the human body? Yes, very good. The answer here is liver. Liver is the largest gland in the human body. Now next up. The stomach releases hydrochloric acid and dash juices which act on the food. Yes, I can't understand ingestion. I'll explain this to you right away. Okay, what will it release? What juice is going to release by the stomach? It releases hydrochloric acid and... Okay, I'm seeing 2 answers. One is digestive juices and one is gastric juices. What is the correct answer between digestive and gastric? Between digestive and gastric, what is the correct answer? Yes? Now everybody has gotten confused. Ma'am, you told digestive, so I think it's digestive. It's not digestive, it is gastric juices, because we know that the stomach produces gastric juice, right? Gastric juice may we have enzymes, we have mucus, and then we have hydrochloric acid also, right? So the answer here is gastric, okay? Now somebody was asking me, ma'am, what is the example or what do we mean by egestion? So egestion is basically it is nothing but it is the removal of undigested food, right? So it is a removal of undigested food from the body. That is what we mean by egestion. Now moving on, the inner walls of the small intestine have many finger-like outgrowths, right? So we know that there are various finger-like projections which we call as villi. Very quickly, a follow-up question. What is the function of villi? Can you tell me? What is the function of villi? Yes? Jaldi, jaldi. Why do our body require villi? Yes? Very good. Absorption, right? And a more appropriate answer here would be increase the surface area for absorption, right? So that is what we mean by it. Very good. Last but not the least, amoeba digest their food where? Amoeba digest their food where? I saw two answers. Food vacuole I saw, and I saw another answer which is pseudopodia. Which is the answer? Pseudopodia or food vacuole? Very good. Now when I gave you option, you all got confused. Some of you got confused at least, right? So this right here is nothing but it is the food vacuole, right? So food vacuole is where the digestion takes place, right? So now if you get all of these answers, you will get 5 marks very easily, right? Now let's move on. Here luckily we see that the answer is not given to us. But again, match the following. Let's have A, B, C and D. And let's have 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? 1, 2, 3 and 4. What are the matches? Can you tell me? We have food components, carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Products of digestion, fatty acid and glycerol, sugar and amino acids. Oh, this is not there. Sorry, my bad. Column 1 is food components and the other one is, this is A, B and C. Sorry. Okay, what is the answer? There's a slight change in options. Nutrition in animals is going on for class 8. Thank you, Geeta. Yes, A3. Everybody tell me A3 and A2. Carbohydrates, right? Carbohydrates that is there, we know. Carbohydrates, they actually break down and they will give rise to sugars, right? The simplest form. So when they undergo digestion, they will give rise or they will form the simplest form of sugar. Next you have proteins. Complete digestion of proteins will give us what? What is proteins? Yes, I will explain this. So basically your carbohydrates, proteins and fats, they exist in the complex form, right? Now they need to undergo digestion so that at the end of the day they can exist in the simplest forms, right? So which is the simplest form of carbohydrate? They are the simplest sugars. Now when it is proteins and proteins undergo, complete digestion, they will give rise to amino acids, right? And then what is there? Bhava Singh Rathod, I'm not ignoring you, I just missed your question, right? Last but not the least, what will fatty acids give us? I gave the answer, but still. What will fats give us? What is fat going to give us? Exactly, it will give us fatty acid and glycerol, right? So this is what we need to understand. Now everybody, for those of you who are still a little confused, let me tell you, right? What is digestion? Digestion is nothing but the breakdown of complex substances into simple soluble forms, right? Now why should digestion happen? Because we know that the food that we eat, it exists in a complex form that our body cannot utilize. So it needs to be broken down into simple soluble forms, right? So this is how the simple soluble forms are, in the form of amino acids for proteins, in the form of sugars for carbohydrates, and fatty acid and glycerol for fat. Okay, so are we all clear with this? Are we all clear? Can you give me a thumbs up in the chat? Yes, Arzu. Hello. Hello to you. Yes. Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you, everybody. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay. Where is bile produced and which is the component of food, or which component of food does it help to digest? 2-mark question here. Where is bile produced? I want the answer to this first. Very good, everybody. Very good. Most of you have got the answer. We know that liver is where bile is produced, right? And it is stored in the gallbladder. Very good, Sanika. Very good. So it is stored in gallbladder. Now the next question is, which component of food does it help to digest? Can you tell me? Which food item does it help to digest? Protein or fat? Yes, very good. It helps in the digestion of fats. Now, I'll ask you a follow-up question. How does it help in the digestion of protein or fats? Does it break down fats into fatty acid and glycerol? Yes or no? Does bile help in the breakdown of fats into fatty acid and glycerol? I want a yes or no for this. Yes or no? Does bile help in breaking down fat into fatty acid and glycerol? All of you who told me no, you have got the answer correctly, right? Now the thing is, bile helps in the digestion of fat, right? Bile does not directly digest fat. Now the thing is, we know that by fats that are there, they are large droplets, right? So we know that they exist as large droplets. They are very, very big in size, okay? Now the thing is that normally, you know, enzymes which are there, enzymes which act on fats and which are supposed to technically digest the fat, they are not there, okay? They cannot act on it because of the large size. So what will bile do? Bile that is there will actually make it smaller in size, okay? So it will make it into smaller droplets. So it will make it into smaller droplets so that fats can be broken down into fatty acid and glycerol, right? So what actually helps in digestion of fats? There are some enzymes which are there, right? But here what do? They just break it down structurally, right? Bile is a greenish yellowish fluid which is produced by the liver that helps in the breakdown of large droplets of fat into simple soluble forms, right? Are we clear now? Are we all clear? Yes? Everybody, are we clear with this particular question? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, Nikki channel. Yes, yes. Very good. Okay, so next time if I ask you, does bile help in converting fat into fatty acid and glycerol? What will your answer be? Yes or no? Now next, if I ask you the same question once again, will you tell me yes or no? What is it that you will tell me? Yes, you will all tell me, ma'am, no. It will only help in breaking down large droplets of fat into smaller droplets, but it will not help in the conversion of fat into fatty acid and glycerol. Very good. So now this is how you will write the answer. You will get 2 marks for this particular question, right? So this of course is not something that you should write. This is incorrect, but you can write down saying that helps with the digestion of fat by breaking down large droplets of fat into smaller droplets. Yes? Okay. Now moving on, right? Next, move on to the next one, which is a match the following, right? Yes, 10-bit, you can ask me your doubts, bacha. You don't have to ask permission. You can ask me your doubts, okay? Now moving on to this one. Can you tell me? Salivary gland. What are we going to match salivary glands to? Can you tell me? Everybody's telling me, ma'am, A3. Okay. We will match salivary gland to saliva secretion because salivary gland is responsible for producing saliva. Very good. Now we have stomach. Next one. What are we going to match stomach to? B4. Stomach is digestion complete. Okay. acid release. Yes, so we will match this to acid release, right? Now we have liver. What about liver? What are we going to match liver to? Just 1 minute. Yes, very good. We will match liver to bile juice secretion because we just understood that liver is responsible for producing bile. Now we have rectum. Rectum is part of the large intestine. What does rectum do? Can you tell me? What is the function of rectum? Very quickly, D7. Lot of answers. Storing undigested food, digestion is complete, absorption of water, release of feces. But in this case, rectum is where the undigested food is stored for a brief period of time. Then you have small intestine. What is small intestine? Can you tell me? Function of small intestine. Yes? Very good. Small intestine is where complete digestion takes place. Leaving us with the last one, which is large intestine, right? And large intestine here is where absorption of water happens, right? Now, release of feces would be the process of egestion, or specifically it would be defecation, right? So, in this case, when you are matching it, you would match it in the following manner, right? Now, of course, we will move on to the next one. Can we survive only on raw leafy vegetables or grass? Yes or no? Agna, these are all the important NCERT questions, right? These are all important NCERT questions. No, we can't. Can you tell me why? Why is it that we cannot survive only on raw leafy vegetables? Leafy vegetables, very healthy for us, right? 10-bit, please ask me your doubt. I'm waiting for it. If you keep saying, ma'am, doubt, then I'll never get to know. Yes, Daivik, very good, right? We know that leafy green vegetables that are, see, one thing is, yeah, we need more nutrients. But the second thing you think about it, we have cellulose, right? Leafy greens have cellulose in them. And we know that human digestive system that is there, it does not really have the ability to digest cellulose, right? Which is why in this case we will not be actually able to survive, because most often than not it is a lot of cellulose that is there which cannot be digested by our body. Now 10-bit, thank you so much Shiva. Now 10-bit, your doubt was what is salivary glands, right? Salivary glands are nothing but glands which produce saliva that are located, there are 3 pairs, one below the ear, one below your lower jaw, one under the tongue, right? Okay, now with this everyone, we are done with the second chapter, which is nutrition in animals. See now, another next 10 minutes we are done with second chapter. We are going to move on to the third chapter. So how are we feeling? Confidence level out of 5. What is your confidence at right now? Can you tell me very quickly? Yes? Can you all tell me how are you feeling? 5 May, 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5. Oh, 10,000. That's amazing, right? Very good, very good. Okay. So just give me one moment. I'll drink some water, right? I'm feeling a little thirsty. I'll drink some water and we will move on to the third chapter, which is respiration in organisms, right? Now see, let me tell you, in 7th standard May, if you learn all these chapters, your 10th standard is going to be very, very easy. Right? So we will learn and build our fundamentals today, so that 10th standard we are going to be very relaxed, right? Okay. Ankita ma'am will try her best to join. The thing is, there was a live stream in the other channel which went longer than expected. So I came here to start the session, but if Ankita ma'am doesn't join, I'll probably take up the whole session, right? Yes, all right. So now, before I get started, right, how many of you are clear with the idea or the concept of respiration? Can you all tell me what do we understand by respiration? Yes? What are the important, what is the understanding that you have with the concept of respiration? Can you tell me? Yes. 10-bit, I'm from Bangalore, but how does that matter? You tell me. Anya, I'll tell you what is double fertilization when I do reproduction in plants, okay? Liberation, process of breakdown of glucose. Very good, Aradhya. Taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide is not respiration. Yes, that is not respiration at all, right? What is respiration? Respiration is nothing but it is the breakdown of glucose in order to release energy, right? So this is what we understand as respiration, right? Now with this, of course, let's move on to the first question, which is actually a slightly advanced question than normal, but this here is a 3-mark question. Why is it that an athlete breathes deeper and faster than usual after finishing the race? Can you tell me? Now normally if I am walking, right, I am not doing but if I was running and coming to class, I would have been like so why is there a difference, right? Why is there a difference in this? Due to need of oxygen, deficiency of oxygen. Oh my God, I am so proud reading the answers in the live chat at this point, right? So now we know, right? We know that when it comes to respiration, right? When it comes to respiration, there are actually 2 kinds of respiration. Yes. So we know that there is aerobic respiration and then we also have anaerobic respiration. Right? Now in aerobic respiration, we know that oxygen is utilized, right? Oxygen is utilized, or it happens in the presence of oxygen, while this happens in the absence of oxygen or in the temporary deficiency of oxygen, right? So this is what we understand by aerobic and anaerobic. Now in this case, when we are talking about after finishing a race, right? So when we talk about after finishing a race or maybe breathing faster and deeper, this is when more amount of energy will happen. Now our body normally does aerobic respiration, but when we are doing activities, imagine if this is how much energy we require, right? But with aerobic respiration, only so much energy is produced. We still need more. Which is why in between we see that we start breathing heavy and fast so that more amount of oxygen can enter, right? And of course we also know that in the brief while anaerobic respiration will take place, wherein we know that at this rate we know that it happens in the absence, and finally we know that lactic acid formation takes place. Yes. And last but not the least, once it is done, we breathe heavily to get back all that oxygen. So are we all clear with this, or did you guys get confused in between? Did any of you get confused? Because I felt like I confused you all a little, right? Shall I explain this once again? Or you are clear? If you are clear, I'm very happy. 10-bit, please ask your doubt. Ma'am, why not aerobic? See, it's not that aerobic respiration does not happen, okay? Aerobic respiration is happening. It's just that how much of our energy is getting produced is not enough. We need more than that, right? Which is why in this case, we see that we are constantly, right? We are constantly, like our body switches to anaerobic at that brief point of time. Yes? So I'll explain this once again. Now, when we are normally, right, so imagine we are doing some activity in the gym, we are lifting weights, right? So in this case, if this much energy is needed, right, this is how much energy is required. Our body by aerobic respiration, right, so by aerobic respiration, it is only able to produce this much energy. That means if I draw a graph like this, we see that there is so much energy still needs to be produced. Now, where is it going to come from? It is going to come from anaerobic respiration, right? And here in anaerobic respiration, glucose is broken down in the absence or in the temporary deficiency, right? And here we get, of course, energy is produced, yes, but we also have lactic acid which gets produced as a byproduct, right? So that is what we understand. Now, once lactic acid is produced, all our energy need is met. When we go back to normal, our body will want to go back to doing aerobic respiration, which is why we are breathing more and more to get all that oxygen, yes? And if accumulation of lactic acid happens, then we know that it can lead to muscle cramps, right? Now, are we clear? Yes, are we all clear? Everybody? Yes, very good. So now let's move on to the next one. List similarities and differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. I only gave you half the answer, right? I only have given you half the answer, right? So now in this case, how will we go about it? Can you all tell me? So in aerobic and anaerobic, first tell me similarities. What are the similarities? There's not much, but still. If it is not coming, bacha, it's okay, Nikki, but other people have it, no? Yes, in both cases, glucose is what is getting broken down, right? In both cases, glucose is what is getting broken down. Yes, thank you and happy Science Day to everybody here. Happy Science Day. Yes, what else? Okay, dogs also will do respiration. Both occurs in cells. Okay, very good. Both occur in cells. Yes, very good. What else? Now we're talking about differences. Now there are more differences than what we know of similarities, right? So in aerobic and anaerobic, what are the differences? Now first and foremost, based on oxygen, we know oxygen is present, but we know that in this case oxygen is absent or temporarily deficient, right? Yes. Now next up we have to talk about the location. Where is this happen? I mean, not location. We have to talk about the byproduct. What is the byproduct of aerobic respiration? Can you tell me? What is the byproduct of aerobic respiration? In the chat. Yes? Glucose is byproduct. Who's telling me oxygen? Yes, in this case it is carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide and water are the byproducts. While in anaerobic respiration, we know that if it is in the skeletal muscles, right? So if this we are talking about skeletal muscles, we know that this right here in skeletal muscles, we know that it will be lactic acid. But if it is an organism like yeast, what will it be? It will be alcohol and carbon dioxide, right? So it will be alcohol and carbon dioxide. Now energy wise, right, which produces more energy? Aerobic or anaerobic? Which produces more energy? Aerobic or anaerobic? Can you tell me in the chat? Ma'am, these questions are so important. Somebody said this, so important that I don't need to study. Is that what I read? This is respiration, right? Yes, so energy produced by aerobic is very high. While when compared to anaerobic, it is very, very low, right? So if we go to have a look at the answer, right? So here we see that aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen, while anaerobic is in the absence. End products are carbon dioxide and water. Here it is carbon dioxide and alcohol in yeast, right? And lactic acid in skeletal muscles. You will have to specify this. High amount of energy is released while lower amount of energy is released, right? We see this both in plants and animals, while in anaerobic respiration we find it only in yeast, bacteria and our muscle cells, right? So everybody quickly go ahead and take a screenshot of this, right? Okay. Ma'am, these questions are so important that I don't need to study anything else. Nothing like that. You will have to learn everything else. These are just more important because it helps you revise the whole chapter, right? Have you taken a screenshot? Okay. Now let's move on, right? So this is how you write the answer. And your similarities, you should write that glucose is utilized and both of them are taking place in the cell. Now let's move on to the next one. Very interesting question. Why do we often sneeze when we inhale a lot of dust-laden air? Why do we sneeze when we inhale a lot of dust-laden air? Can you tell me? Ma'am, can we also do anaerobic respiration? We do, right? So when we require a lot of energy, our body briefly switches to anaerobic respiration, right? To remove dust particles from windpipe, okay. Nose hair, very good, yes, very good. Who told me that? Mayank, yes. Very good, Leela, very good answer. See, basically what happens, You know, your inner lining of nasal cavity has, hair, and it produces mucus, right? Now what happens is that when you inhale, some of these particles will irritate the inner lining of the nose, right? So the inner lining of the nose gets irritated. And when the inner lining of the nose gets irritated, it will send a message to the brain telling, you know what, there's something inside the body, I think we should like sneeze it out, or we should get rid of it out. So then what the body will do, the brain will then send a message back where we forcefully expel it, right? So how will we define sneezing? Sneezing is often defined as the forceful expelling of unwanted particles, right? So we see that it is a forceful expelling of unwanted particles from the body. So which is why we see that when we inhale it, we get rid of these particles and they can trigger the inner lining of the nose and thereby we sneeze it, right? So 2 marks for this particular answer. Now for those of you who are very new, my name is Aishwarya and I hope that I welcome you to the class. Yes, Vaishnavi, hello, hello. Now we have matched the following column 1 with column 2. You have yeast, diaphragm, skin, leaves, fish, frog, earthworms, gill, alcohol, chest cavity, stomata, lungs and skin and trachea, right? Very good, Sanika, very good. Yes. So what are we going to match? E2, 3-2. Somebody was asking me, what is yeast? Yeast is actually just a single-celled organism, right? It is a unicellular organism that is there. Ma'am, will we be asked to draw breathing process? No, they'll not ask you to draw all that. They may ask you to draw respiratory system, but that's maximum. Other than that, they'll not ask you to do. Okay, Janvi? Okay, yeast is matched to alcohol because we know yeast can do anaerobic respiration and gives out alcohol as a byproduct. What about diaphragm? What is the role of diaphragm? Can you tell me? What is the role of diaphragm in the chat? Chest cavity. Yes. So diaphragm that is there is a muscular dome-shaped structure that separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity, right? So it separates it from the abdominal cavity. Okay. Now next up we have skin, right? So who is responsible for breathing through their skin? Yes, very good. So we know that earthworms that are there have moist skin through which the gases will exchange, right? So that is what we mean by it. Now we have leaves. What about leaves? Very quickly. What about leaves? Stomata, yes. So we know that on the underside of the leaves, there are these small openings called as stomata through which gaseous exchange takes place. What about fishes? Jaldi, jaldi. What about fishes? What do we see in fishes? Gills, exactly. So fishes are able to respire or breathe on the water because of the gills that they have. Now last but not the least that are there, we have frog, right? We have tracheae and lungs and skin. What is the answer? What is the answer to this? Yes? Very good. So for frog, it is lungs and skin. So with this, of course, we've got the correct answer and here is the correct answer. Yes? Very simple and easy. Now this is a simple true or false question, okay? During heavy exercise, the breathing rate of a person slows down. True or false? Jaldi, jaldi. Just give me T or F. Okay. T or F in the chat. Nothing more. During heavy exercise, the breathing rate will slow down. As a matter of fact, the statement is false, right? Because we know that during heavy exercise, the breathing rate of a person increases or it will become faster in order to, match up with how much energy he needs to exercise, right? So statement is false. Plants carry out photosynthesis only during day and respiration only during night. True or false? Jaldi, jaldi. Is the statement true or false? Second one. I can see mix of answers between true and false here. But majority of you are giving me the correct answer. It is false. Because plants carry out photosynthesis only during the day. Yes. Do plants carry out respiration only at night or all day? What is the correct answer? Is it at night or all day? Jaldi, jaldi, chat mein. Yes? Respiration is every time. Yes, all day, all the time respiration will happen, right? It's not dependent on sunlight or anything. Yes? Now moving on. Frogs breathe through their skin as well as lungs. True or false? Frogs breathe through their skin as well as lungs. What is the answer? Jaldi in the chat. Very good. We know that frogs breathe with the help of moist skin when they are underwater, and when they are on land, they breathe with the help of their lungs. Very good. Now moving on. Fishes have lungs for respiration. Very easy. Fishes have lungs for respiration. Is this true or false? Absolutely, this is false, because we know that fishes have gills that facilitate respiration. Now next up. Size of the chest cavity increases during inhalation. So when we inhale, right, we know that the ribs that are there, the ribs will move outwards, diaphragm will come down. Volume of chest cavity, what will happen to it during inhalation? Will it go more? Will the volume increase or will the volume decrease? Very good. The chest cavity volume will increase, right? So that is the correct answer. So now, of course, everybody, most of you here have got the answers to most of the answers that we have discussed. Let me quickly open the chat as well on my phone. Okay, all right. So with this, of course, everybody, we come to the end, right? We've had a look at these 3 chapters. We are left with the last 2 chapters, right? 10 more minutes. I don't think we'll be able to finish, but by 6:15, we should be able to do. Isha, we are recalling and revising some of the important questions from the biology section, right? Yes, all right. See, now I told you, no, most of you are telling, ma'am, nahi hoga, 1 ghante mein, how will we do? But look at it. You've done such an amazing job. Most likely for social sciences, we'll have a class next week for 7th grade, right? Next week, we'll be having it, okay? And for those of you who are very new to the class, very quickly, please make sure that you go ahead and you like this video. I can see good number of students are watching, but very few likes. We should have at least 100 likes on our video. So for those of you who have not watched or liked this video or subscribed to the channel, now is the time that you will have to do, right? Yes. See, of course, we plan it for 2 hours, okay? But at the end of the day, quick revision will always help you out, right? And you can always come back and watch this video. You have nothing to worry about, right? It says 2 hours, but we'll wind it in under 2 hours, right? In 1 hour, 15 minutes, we can wind it off. It's very easy. You all know everything, okay? Now let's move on to reproduction in plants, right? Let's have a look at reproduction in plants. Now the first question is a very important question. Describe the different methods of asexual reproduction and give examples. Yes? So everybody, what are the different modes? Okay, before that, can you tell me how to define asexual reproduction? What is asexual mode of reproduction? Can you tell me? In the chat, very quickly. Very good. Asexual has 2 parents or 1 parent? Yes. So we know that this is a mode of reproduction where only 1 parent, right? So we see that only 1 parent is involved, right? So that's what we understand as asexual reproduction. Now we need to talk about the different modes of reproduction. So can you tell me? Exactly. So I can see fission. So we have spore formation. Then we have fragmentation. Then we have budding. Then we have vegetative propagation, right? So we also have vegetative propagation. All right. So these are the important modes, and these are the 4 ones which are mentioned in your textbook. Now you need to write 1 sentences about each of it, right? So what are 1 sentences that you can write? So vegetative propagation, when you are writing about it, you can say that this is something seen in plants, right? And we know that the vegetative parts such as stem, you can say leaf, stem, and root are used for giving rise to a new plant, right? So that's what we mean by vegetative propagation. Now we have spore formation, which is there. Now in which organism do we see spore formation? Can you tell me in the chat? In which organism do we see spore formation? Yes, we see it in mosses and we also see it happening in fungi, right? So we see this happening in fungi and we also see it in ferns mostly, right? Where we know that there are certain spores which are produced that have the ability, so they have the ability to germinate, right? So they will germinate into new organism. Now to do this, they will require certain conditions. It requires moist conditions and it would require warm conditions also, right? Now we have fragmentation. Now what is fragmentation? Jaldi, jaldi. Again, I can see the answer. All of you told me Spirogyra. Now fragmentation is a mode of asexual reproduction where the parent will break down into fragments and we see that each fragment, right? So we see that each fragment that is there will grow into a new organism, right? So this each fragment is a key word that is there. Then last but not the least, we have budding, right? So budding mein what can we write? Budding is a process seen in organisms like yeast where there is a small outgrowth or there is a bud and we see that each outgrowth of the bud will develop into a new organism, right? So this is the answer to this, okay? Everybody, I have written the key points on screen. Quickly take a screenshot. Yes? Okay, very good. Budding is seen in yeast and we also find it in hydra as well, right? So this is of course a detailed answer, but of course like I said, see, don't have unnecessary hate, Vikas, right? Be nice. Yes? Okay. So I've written all the key points and this is how you phrase your answer, but this will come for 4 marks. What is the full form of DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. Alright? Okay. Now let's move on to the next one, right? Explain what you understand by sexual reproduction. Yes? Okay. In the meanwhile, as all of you are giving me the answer to this, it's okay, Vikas, it's okay, right? But be nice, okay? Don't say bad things about people. Okay. Why am I a cheater, Siri? Why unnecessary hate? Don't unnecessarily spread hate on the channel, right? Now, for those of you in the meanwhile, as you give me the answer, I'm going to take a question on spore formation. So, in organisms like fungi, we see that there are structures called as sporangium, inside which spores are formed. Okay, they are like these balloon-like structures inside which they are formed. And once the sporangium will burst, we see that all of them will fall everywhere. The spores will form everywhere. And when it is ideal for them to grow, they will be able to grow. Right? So this is what we mean by spore formation, right? Sporangium is a very important word that you will have to write. Now here we're talking about sexual reproduction. Now we know that sexual reproduction is the process wherein 2 parents are involved and they come together and they give rise to an offspring, right? And we know that gametes, or we know that germ cells are involved, and we see that the offspring, right, or the young one is similar to both parents but not identical, right? So when you're writing the answer, you can just say that sexual reproduction is the process wherein male and female gametes will fuse, right, giving rise to a young one, right? And we know that in plants, stamen and pistil is there, which will produce male and female gamete, and we know that they will come together to give rise to a offspring, right? So that is what we mean by it. Now this is a very, very important question. Star mark this. Exam may it will come for 3 marks minimum. Differentiate between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction, right? What is the answer to this? Purvi, I answered your question. I hope it is clear now. I have already answered that, right? Okay. So first and foremost, you have to write about parent. Then you have to write about gamete, right? And then you have to write about offspring. These are 3 points you will have to write and end it with the example. Okay? This is what you need to do. I'll make this little more neat so that you can see. Okay. Now in this case, in asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved, while in sexual reproduction, 2 parents are involved. Now we see that there is no formation of gametes, right? No formation or fusion of gametes, right? So we see that both formation and fusion of gametes is not there. But in this case, we know that there is formation of gametes, right? So we see that there is both formation of gametes and there is fusion of gametes as well. Now in this case, we see that the offspring that is produced is identical to the parent, but here it is not identical, but rather in this case it is similar to the parent. Your example here could be simply be bacteria, you can write amoeba, you can write yeast, whatever it may be, and here you can write humans, or you can write flowering plants also. I have made you a very simple flow chart, right? Take a screenshot, everybody. Jaldi, jaldi. Take a screenshot. Quickly in the chat. Take a screenshot. Let me know. Okay. Yes, all right. Very good. Doubt hai to you can ask me. Now for those of you who are having doubts with fertilization, right? So we know that in the case of plants, right? So when you talk about plants, we know that the male reproductive part that is there is the stamen, right? Now stamen mein the anther that is there will produce the pollen grain. Yes? So here we see that the anther that is there will produce the pollen grain which has male gamete. Okay? Male gamete is there. Similarly, in the case of female, we know that there is pistil, and in pistil, of course, there is ovary that consists of ovule, which has female gamete, right? Now, by the process of pollination, we know that pollen grain will reach the pistil and finally it will land on the stigma, pollen tube will form. Now, male and female gamete will fuse, right? So, we see that there is fusion of male and female gamete where both of them will become one. And this process of fusion is what we call as fertilization, right? So, what is fertilization? Fusion of male and female gametes. So, are we all clear? Are we all clear? Ma'am, it gives rise to new plant, but I'm asking how it happened. See, basically, if a new organism, if a new spore or any new plant has to come, it will undergo cell division, it will undergo lot of it, right? Lot of changes will keep happening, right? So, basically, cell division, growth will happen and that's how it grows, right? Okay. So this is of course the answer, right? And this is how you will write the answer. Now of course when you are writing it, 4 marks will be there. So remember to write it in tabular form. Now moving on. Sketch the reproductive parts of the flower. So they are asking you to only sketch reproductive parts. So what are you going to, which parts will you sketch? Can you tell me? Can you tell me which are the 2 parts you will draw? Quickly. Will you draw flower or will you only sketch reproductive parts? Yes, Carol, exactly. You will sketch the stamen. And what else will you sketch? You will sketch the pistil as well, right? So you will sketch both of these parts, yes? So how will you draw it? I'm quickly going to jump to the answer slide and then just draw it for you, right? So now when you're drawing stamen, you have to draw anther, okay? You have to draw the anther. And then draw the filament as well, okay? And label this part as anther and this as filament, yes? Okay, and you will label this as stamen. Very good, 1 mark done. You will get 1.5 marks here only, right? 1.5 marks here. Now the next one that is there is the pistil, right? So when you're drawing the pistil, think of a glass vase, yes? So when you're drawing it, draw a flattened knob-like structure, then take it down like this, okay? Take it down like this. Draw a swollen base. Now inside when you do, draw an oval like this, okay? And then mark the ovary. I'm sorry, mine looks a little dirty right now, right? So you can draw 3 of it like this. And draw the cross section. So this will be stigma. This will be style. This will be the ovary. This will be the ovules. And label this as pistil. You will get 1.5 marks. Okay? Doubt in cross-pollination. Definitely. Cross-pollination, I will explain this, right? Now pollination, as we know. Yes, so pollination that is there is nothing but it is the transfer. Right? So we know it is transfer of pollen from where to where? From the anther to the stigma, right? So that's what we understand as pollination. Now we have 2 kinds of pollination, right? So let me quickly draw this. Okay. So the first one that is there is we have self-pollination. Okay. So first one is self-pollination, which is transfer of pollen from anther to stigma of the same flower or anther to stigma of 2 different flowers but of the same plant. But cross-pollination happens between anther, right, and stigma of 2 different flowers, right? So 2 different flowers, right, of 2 different plants, P1 and P2. But they are of the same species, right? So we see that these are of the same species. Yes? So that is what we mean by cross-pollination. So are we all clear? Placenta, Chimmy, if you're looking at it from the plant perspective, it is a tissue that attaches the ovule to the ovary. From plants, that is what we understand as placenta. Yes? Ma'am, what grows from pollen grain? Pollen tube grows from pollen grain, right? So that is what we mean by it, okay? Yes, all right. Now moving on to the next one. I already finished this question, explained difference between cross-pollination and self-pollination. Self-pollination can happen within the same flower or between 2 flowers of the same plant. Cross-pollination is going to be 2 different flowers of 2 different plants altogether. So this is how you write the answer. It can come for 2 marks, okay? Syngamy, it is not there, bacha, in NCERT, so don't worry. I know you are new, Priya. The timetable is available in the community post, so you can check that out. Yes? Last question, I'm assuming. Let me have a look. Yes, it's the last question before we wind up, right? 6:15 is our aim. Describe the various ways by which seeds are dispersed, right? What are the various ways in which seeds are dispersed? Can you tell me? Quickly. Just 1 minute. Ankita ma'am is here. It's there. Yes, sorry, I was miming in between. That's because Ankita ma'am was there, right? And she had to go. Yes, very good. All of you have got the answer, right? So now, of course, in this case, we know that the types of seed dispersal that is there is, we know seeds can germinate in soil through various ways, right? Or seeds can germinate in soil through different ways of seed dispersal. Yes? So we know that can happen by wind, water, or by animals, right? So by wind, we know that there are winged seeds, there are light seeds, there are hairy seeds, all of which by wind they'll float around and they will reach. Then by water, we know that in the case of coconuts, they will float and reach. And in the case of some seeds like xanthium, we know that they can be transported, right? So they are spiny in nature. Yes. We will call ma'am. Ma'am will come in 5 minutes, right? So yeah, ma'am will come in the end. So now when you are writing the answer, it is going to be a 3-mark question. Yes? So 3-mark question on writing all the different parts. So everybody take a screenshot of this. Yes, okay. I'll send it on PDF also. But in case if you say later, PDF nahi mila, then you'll have screenshot at least, no? Yes, okay. So with this, of course, we've finished reproduction in plants, leaving us with our last chapter for today, which is transportation in animals and plants. Yes, I was in 9 and 10 now and I've come here as well. Okay. 10th standard class will keep happening, but now we will focus on 7th standard class, right? Now transport for xylem and phloem, Carol, you're asking me. I will take it when I do this particular chapter. Shall I do that? I will explain xylem and phloem here, okay? Now everybody, meanwhile, I hope that you have marked your attendance by liking the video, and I hope all of you have hit the subscribe button on the channel, because I'm sure by now, right? I'm sure you understand that we focus on giving you high quality education in the best way possible. So everybody, make sure that you do not forget to subscribe and stay subscribed to our channel, right? So I will help you. Tanu creation, my Hindi is not very good, bacha, so I will teach you in English only. I'll try my best in Hindi, right? So I'll try my best to do that. Now let's move on to the next one, which is a match the following, right? So we have column 1 and column 2, okay? Column 1 mein we have stomata, xylem, root hair and phloem. Column 2 mein absorption of water, transpiration, transport of food, transport of water and synthesis of carbohydrates. So where are we going to match? I'm going to put A, B, C here. A, B, C, D, E. This is going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. How are we going to match this? Where are we matching stomata to? What is the role of stomata? What is it? Very good. Stomata is transpiration, right? So now we know that what is transpiration? Transpiration is nothing but loss of water in the form of water vapor. From where? From the aerial parts of the plant, right? So from the aerial parts of the plant, when excess water, I would say, right? It is extra water, not water that the plant needs, but excess water when it's lost in the form of water vapor, it is what we call as transpiration, and it happens through stomata. Now, Carol Bacha, xylem phloem is here only, so I'll explain that here. What is the role of xylem, right? What is the role of xylem? Mayank has given me the answer, right? Along with many others. Xylem that is there is responsible for transport of water. Then what about phloem? Can you tell me? What about phloem? What is the role of phloem? Yes? Role of phloem. Transport of what? Yes, Tanu, welcome. I'll explain xylem phloem. I still haven't explained it per se. Yes, it is transport of food. Now see, we know if we have a plant, right? So let's assume this is our cute little plant. Yes? And this is the leaf. Okay, I'm just drawing one leaf, right? And we know that these are the roots that are there. Okay. Now we know that the roots that are there are responsible for absorbing water. Right, so we know that water that is there needs to be absorbed, because at the end of the day, in the leaf, we know that carbon dioxide and water needs to combine for photosynthesis to happen, right? So water is needed for photosynthesis, but it is all the way in the roots, right? So what will you do? What will the plant do rather? We know that they will absorb this water. But now it's kind of like if you want water in your pipe, right? You want it in your tap, but water is somewhere in the tank. How is it going to reach? My pipe is here, okay? This is my pipe and I want water in my pipe, but my water is stored in the tank. How am I going to do, or how am I going to get it? There is going to be a pipe, right? There will be one pipe that will take the water from the tank to the tap, so that when I open my tap, I will get water, right? So there is going to be a pipe, no? So you imagine this xylem that is there to be a huge long pipe that will carry this water all the way till the leaves and to all the parts. So what is xylem? Xylem is when you say pipe, it's a more colloquial word, but you have to say xylem is a vessel that transports water along with minerals. Are we all clear? Yes? Are we all clear with what we understand as what is a function of xylem? Are we clear? Can you give me a thumbs up, everybody? See, root hair I'll explain, don't worry. Ma'am, can you illustrate how transpiration works? I will do that also. No. Or it's good to go. See, basically you think of xylem as, like a pipe which is taking your water all the way from the roots to the upper parts, right? So that is what is xylem. Now similarly you have phloem, right? Now phloem is there. Now you think of phloem as another pipe, right, which can go both upwards and downwards, and it can transport food to the upper parts and it can transport food to the lower parts, right? So xylem only goes upwards, one way direction for xylem. But for phloem, it is both upper side as well as lower side. So it is bidirectional in phloem, and both help in both help in transport. Now for those of you who are asking me about transpiration, right? Transpiration that is there is basically loss of water. So we know that water will get transported to the leaves for photosynthesis, but not that all the water that is going to reach the leaf is going to be utilized, right? There is going to be excess water. So what will happen? All this excess water in the form of water vapor will be given out from the aerial parts, and this is what we call as transpiration. So I hope now we are clear. Oscillation, you are Saurabh sir, best. Last but not the least, we have root hair, right? What is the function of root hair? We know that root hair plays a key role in absorption of water, right? So we know that root hair is responsible for absorption of water. So this right here is the correct match, right? Okay. Now we have a series of fill in the blanks. All right, very good. Saurabh sir, kahin hai, he's there somewhere. Okay, function of villi is absorption of food material, right? Moving on, jaldi. This is going to be a rapid fire, right? Next 5 minutes maybe we should finish. So very quickly, the blood from the heart is transported to all parts of the body by what? So we're saying blood from heart is taken to all parts of the body by which blood vessel? It's a specific blood vessel. No, artery, yes, but what is the name of that artery? Can you tell me? What is the name of that artery? It is called something. Yes, very good. It is called as aorta, right? So they are saying from the heart to all parts. So that is actually aorta. Yes, aorta is the answer, not pulmonary artery. Okay, it is not pulmonary artery. Now moving on. Hemoglobin is present where? Very good, Umesh. It is present in RBC or the red blood cell. Arteries and veins are joined together by what? Arteries and veins are joined together by what? We know that these things that are there are thin-walled where exchange of materials take place. Yes, very good. It is capillaries, right? So they are joined by capillaries. Now the rhythmic expansion and contraction of the heart. What do we call that? Rhythmic expansion and contraction of the heart is called as heartbeat. Yes, very good. It's called as heartbeat. Now the main excretory product in human is what? What is the main excretory product in human? Why is it not pulmonary artery? Because if it was pulmonary artery here, they wouldn't have said all parts of the body. Instead of all parts of the body, it would have been lungs. If they said lungs, then it is pulmonary artery, right? Urea or urine? They are asking main excretory product. Then it should be urea, not urine. Urine is the form in which this urea is expelled out from the body, right? Okay. Sweat contains water and what? Yes, sweat contains water and salts. Oh, that was rhyming. Kidneys eliminate waste materials in liquid form called as what? See, this is where you will write the second answer you were telling me, right? Kidneys eliminate waste materials in the form of urine. Exactly. Now, water reaches great heights in trees because of a suction pull caused by what? There is a suction pull which gets created that helps in the transport of water, right? What is it? What do we call it as? I told you, no, upar se there is some process taking place. Yes, exactly. It is due to transpiration, and the suction pull is what we call as transpirational pull. So with this, of course, everybody, we have marked the answer. So here you can write arteries or you can write aorta, red blood cells, capillaries, heartbeat, urea, salts, urine, and transpiration. So here's a huge 3 stars for all of you for doing such an amazing job and a wonderful job, right? Now moving on to the next question. Last few questions. Why is transport of materials necessary in plants or in animals? Why is transport necessary, right? Can you tell me what is the need for transportation? What is the need for transportation? For energy, for food, okay, for transporting oxygen, right? Yes, exactly. Because we know that a lot of nutrients need to be transported to different parts, a lot of raw materials need to be transported to different parts, a lot of unwanted materials need to be transported and gotten rid of. So for all of these reasons, we know that different things need to be transported, right? So transport of materials is necessary because nutrients and oxygen should be made available to the body. Along with that, we also know that there should be transport of unwanted material, right? Unwanted waste materials also need to be transported and expelled, right? So it's not just transporting good things, but it's also transporting the things that you don't require. Motivation, heart-cut diagram is not necessary, so you don't need to worry about that, right? Now moving on. What will happen if there are no platelets in the body? This is a simple 2-mark question. So here what you need to know, you should tell me what is the function of platelets. What is the function of platelets? Can you tell me? Somebody's telling blood loss with happiness. Why? Why are we so happy about it? Okay. So exactly, we know that platelets that are there are responsible for blood clotting, right? They are responsible for blood clotting whenever there is wound. Yes, whenever there's a wound or whenever there is an injury, right? So we know that whenever there is a wound or an injury, there is a possibility of loss of blood. So in this case, we know that blood clotting will help in sealing the wound, right? So what will this do? It will help in sealing the wound. Yes? But now, if platelets are not there, then we know that it can lead to blood loss, causing serious problems. So first, you'll have to write 1 mark for writing function of platelet, 1 mark telling what will happen if blood platelets are not there. What is translocation? Translocation is the name that is given for transport of food through phloem. Okay? Now moving on. What is stomata? Give 2 functions of stomata. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? Very simple and easy question. Can you tell me the answer? What are stomata? Yes, very good. They are tiny pores. Yes. Abida, don't say spores, but they are pores, right? Pores that are there. Okay. So we know that stomata that are there are tiny pores which are present on the underside of the leaf, and we know that they have 2 main functions, right? That is exchange of gases, and they also help in transpiration. So first and foremost, when you're writing 1 mark for saying they are tiny openings present on the lower side of the leaves mainly, any 2 functions you can write, you will get 2 marks, right? And we've already discussed this in greater detail. Now moving on to the next one, right? Okay. Does transpiration serve any useful function in plants? Explain. Does transpiration serve any useful function? Now tell me yes or no first. Is transpiration helpful? Oh Darshan, very sorry, it's okay. I'll explain heart-cut diagram with flowchart. Somebody wants that. But I hope we have time for it, but yeah. Yes, very good. Everybody's like, ma'am, yes, ma'am, transpiration has useful function. Because first and foremost, it helps the plant to stay cool, right? Why do we sweat during sunny days? Because we need our body to cool down. Similarly, transpiration also facilitates and helps making sure that the plant can cool down. Along with that, it also creates a suction pull that facilitates absorption of water and minerals. So yes, what is the significance? Helps in getting rid of excess water, has a cooling effect, and creates a suction pull. suction, pull. 3 marks for writing these 3 pointers, right? Now moving on. Why is it necessary to excrete waste products? Why should we get rid of waste material? Can't we just keep it in our body? Our body is so huge and nice. Why should we get rid of it, right? Why is it necessary to excrete waste products? Now, for those of you who are asking me for PDF, it will be available on the Telegram channel as soon as the session is over. So don't worry, okay? Yes, very good, as it is toxic, right? Very good. So we know that accumulation of excretory products can be toxic for the body, and of course things like ammonia, urea, if they start accumulating in our body, it can lead to brain damage. And we know that increased salt also in our body can cause high blood pressure, right? So waste products can affect the functioning of our body, which is why accumulation can be toxic and we need to get rid of it, right? Ma'am, but disadvantage is that very good question, right? Purvi, I'll take that question. So now we know, right, that what is the purpose of getting rid of excretory products. But now here Purvi has asked a question for transpiration, that if excess transpiration takes place, it can cause wilting, right? Now, as a matter of fact, if you would have observed plants during maybe noon time, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock and all in the afternoon, they are slightly droopy because they would have lost a lot of water. But at the same time, over time, rate of transpiration later on, when it becomes evening and all, it will reduce. So they go back to normal. So that is a brief wilting which is there. But if they are not at all given water and transpiration continuously takes place, then yes, eventually the plant can die, right? Okay. This is to draw the diagram of the human excretory system and various parts. This can come in your exam. So when you are drawing this, right, make sure that you have this drawn where you have 2 kidneys, right? Then you draw the ureter, you draw the urinary bladder and the urethra, right? So everybody, this is the last question for today. And I took, I think, about 5 minutes extra than what I promised. But I hope now we are clear. Ureter is this long tube. Urethra is this opening. This is the urinary bladder. So with this, everybody, we are done with all the 5 chapters. Can we have a stream of clapping emojis on the chat? Stream of clapping emojis very quickly, right? Ma'am, when roots absorb water, why they expel through transpiration? See, root ka mechanism is not like our brain saying now I want this much water, oh now I don't want this much water, right? It is a physical process which is constantly happening, right? It's constantly happening. But at the same time, the plant has to maintain that balance, which is why when excess of water is there, transpiration goes. It is not like us drinking water. Let's always understand, right? Why we don't sweat in winter? We don't sweat in winter for 2 reasons. Because we need to conserve our body heat, right? And we also know that during winter, right, there's not a lot of water intake that is there, which is why we also sweat less. Yes? So well done all of you, well done. Now quickly we're going to, before I call Ankita ma'am, right, I'm going to give a quick homework question for all of you. Yes? So this is going to be your homework question. Okay? Define transpiration and write 2 advantages. We have just discussed this, but I also want this in the comments below, right? In the comments of this video, I need you to give me the answer to this particular question. And now everybody, let's welcome Ankita ma'am. And let's have a quick hi as well.
Hi everyone. Hello everyone. So I hope that you've enjoyed the session. And yeah, it was a very amazing session. Great everyone. Hello, I just came to say hi. Yeah. Please make sure you hit the like button, and if you're new here, please do take a moment and subscribe. We'll be meeting really very soon. बस यहीं पे थी. दूसरी क्लास पे क्लास चल रही थी तो फिर.
Yes.
What's up?
And everybody, any more doubts that are there, let us know in the comments of this video. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel because we have a lot more interesting classes. And they were asking about SST as well, which we'll be having next week.
Oh yes. So next week is the time where we have planned SST classes for you. So please make sure you join those classes. And we'll have a lot of discussion and a lot of amazing session. So please make sure you join those classes.
Yes. Alright everybody, with this we'll be signing off and we'll see you all soon. Up until then, lots of love to everybody. Take care and bye-bye.